LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
How old were you when you realized you were the son of a president?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before.
FX's Love Story. John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette.
I didn't think I could love someone like this until you.
From executive producer Ryan Murphy.
It's not a question of if I want to spend the rest of my life with you. It's if I'm cut out to be Mrs. JFK Jr.
FX's Love Story. John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. Watch now on FX, Hulu, and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers.
Welcome back to Cruising. My name is Sarah Gabrielli, and today on the podcast we have an iconic comedian, actor, musician, and activist. Margaret Cho grew up in San Francisco and has been unabashedly speaking her mind on the stand-up scene since she was 14 years old. In 1994, she made history at the helm of the first Asian American family sitcom, All American Girl, which didn't exactly go as planned, but was just the beginning of a rich career in film and television. More recently, you might have seen her as the lesbian in the movie Fire Island, and much more. Margaret joined me on the pod to talk through her queer journey, starting with her parents' gay bookstore, through her activism work during HIV/AIDS, and her beef with America's former sweetheart, Ellen Degeneres. Currently, you can find her traveling the country on her Choligarchy stand-up comedy tour. Tickets and more on Margaret are available at margaretcho.com. And you can still pre-order our book, The Lesbian Bar Chronicles, anywhere books are sold and at cruisingpod.com/book.
Heterosexuality was the anomaly because I was around queer people. My parents had a gay bookstore. All of their employees were gay men and women. And so the stasis was queer. The normality was queer.
Did your parents open a gay bookstore?
No, it existed already. And
Okay.
The owners sold it to my father. My father wanted to buy a bookstore. My father loved the Beat Poets. He loved City Lights Bookstore, which is in San Francisco, which is a publishing company. It was a bookstore. They had poetry readings. He wanted a place that had a cultural center that was all about literature and art. And also my father is very handsome. And the thing about him is that when they emigrated to America, he was so shocked that nobody noticed. Because in Korea, he's so handsome that everybody would just fall apart when they saw him. But when in America, in 1964, nobody gave him any notice. So he was so like, what does that mean? I'm suddenly invisible. You know, it's really hard when you have pretty privilege to suddenly be without it. And then so he goes down to the gay neighborhoods to look for this bookstore, and all the men are falling all over themselves trying to talk to him and get his attention. And so he feels like really seen. And I think that was what it was all about, is that the men in the gay neighborhoods of San Francisco really saw him as this beautiful, literary, mysterious foreign man who had some money, who wanted to buy this bookstore, and they were going to make this business work for him. So he bought the bookstore, and all of the employees, they're mostly guys, is mostly gay men. They were all in love with him. There was one employee who painted him regularly, who did lots of portraits that my father has hanging all over his house now. You know, he just was just in his prime of his beauty, and he had a lot of fans. You know, all these men really were in love with him. I mean, my father is not a homosexual, but he does believe in male beauty, and he does prefer male beauty, and he does appreciate when men find him beautiful. And I think he appreciates it more than when women find him beautiful because he feels like women don't have any taste and women don't count. He's quite a machismo kind of guy. There's sort of a misogynistic kind of quality to him. So I think that's what it is that he thinks that men are superior, so they know what beauty is. So there's a kind of, it's gay, but it's not actually gay. Like one of the employees had a side business where he would massage men's prostates. And he was always trying to get my father to be a client. I don't know if he actually did, but that was kind of the way that our lives were, is that men were just after him and he just loved it.
And was that your introduction to gay people, was at the bookstore?
Yeah. So I was just around all these gay people. And then, these were people in the 70s who were getting full body tattoos from Ed Hardy. And so on our refrigerator, we had a photo of one of the employees as a naked man covered in tattoos. And that's like in front on our refrigerator. It's not like a grocery list. It's not, A+ papers that we had done. Like none of that. It was like the example of like family memorabilia is a naked man covered in tattoos on our refrigerator. Like that's kind of like the culture that I was raised in. And so I was raised, like we didn't have babysitters. We just go to the bookstore after school and just be there. And so I was just around gay people all the time.
What was it like when the AIDS epidemic really picks up and you're like around those spaces?
It was really horrifying. It was really sad and really scary because people just started dying. Everybody just started to fall away. You just saw the sort of people looking tired, and then you saw people looking frail, and they'd be thinner and thinner, and then they'd have a cane, and then they'd have a oxygen tank, and then they'd just be gone. And the businesses started to fail, and the streets became emptier and emptier. And it's such it's such an alarming thing to think about. I don't think any film has ever captured it. I don't think any art has truly captured the horror of the AIDS epidemic. Also, it was really suppressed by the media. So the only thing keeping it alive was like queer media, which at that point was pretty fledgling. And you had like a couple of authors writing about it. Armistead Mopan was writing about it and people were talking about it. But in general, the media suppressed it because the world was not ready to see it. So we were dying in not only by the millions, but we're dying in invisibility. And so it's really shocking. I don't think, nothing has really quite captured what the feeling was of just this horror of death and destruction and financial collapse and desolation, and then depression. There was a lot of depression because, people would just lose their boyfriends or husbands, partners, and then they would just be like lost and have all the survivor's guilt. And then there was an additional wave of drug addiction as well. So you had that. So it was a community in crisis and dealing with so many different things. I have a painting in my bathroom that's done by the artist that loved my father, who it's all about how at the point of time where they'd been going to so many funerals that they just started taking acid at the funeral. So it's a funerary scene where there's all of this color and stuff because, they're putting the body in the ground, but they're hallucinating during it. So you had a kind of a touch of the surreal, like we're meeting death on our own terms. But yeah, I think we would do good now because queer culture has emerged so much. We would do good to go back and talk about this time and try to recapture what it was really like. I think it's really, really powerful.
These women released a book called Nurses on the Inside, and one of them was a lesbian, but they both were like running these AIDS units in New York. And that feels like it really captured the devastation because they're just writing about death after death and about all of the intricacies of like how the medical industry is dealing with this. Anyway, it's a book, and also I had them on the podcast if you're
Oh, that's
interested in that
wonderful.
at all.
Yeah, I would love
Yeah.
that. That's great. That's really great. I mean, because those historical accounts are really, really important. We have so few, so that's great.
Somewhere in there, you worked for a bit at a lesbian leather BDSM shop,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How did that happen? Can you talk about what that was like?
Stormy Leather came about where I helped them open their first retail shop. So it was just a kind of a dildo factory and like a leather lingerie factory and stuff. And then they opened a little, very, very cool retail shop on the side. And I loved it. Like I thought it was also great to work there because they were very lenient with time off. So I could go and do stand-up comedy whenever I needed to. And it was just an exotic environment. There was a lot of pro-doms that worked there. That was the first place that I also met people who were transitioning. So there was a lot of intersectionality between early transitioners and leather and BDSM. There was something about that. So, I witnessed and been introduced to a few trans women, but I hadn't met any trans men until working at Stormy Leather. So you had a lot of, stone butches who were now transitioning to be men, which is really, that time, this is in the 1980s, for me was really eye-opening and really revolutionary. So I was really lucky to be there and be around that. I love leather. I love the BDSM community. I think it's just so powerful. I think that the BDSM community, especially with gay men, really thrived after AIDS because we wanted to look for a way for sex to be intense, but without fluid bonding. So BDSM was the really perfect solution to have intensity and a kind of spiritual catharsis with sex without being put at risk. So it's a powerful movement, and it's a really beautiful healing movement. And I still really love it.
Do you know if that's something that came up again during COVID?
I don't know, because COVID was such a kind of a heteronormative, like that wasn't just gay people, it was everybody. But I think that would be cool. Yeah, that would have been great. I think that COVID probably brought in a new level of medical fetishism. There's something fun about like all of the PPE. I do love a bit of PPE anyway. I still mask. I think it's fun. But it's also like when you restrict, there's another part of you that emerges, and it's just inevitable. But with AIDS, that was so focused on the gay community and specifically men. And so when you had that intense restriction, it had to kind of become free somewhere. And that really is where I think BDSM really got sort of a revolutionary start. And so I'm thinking of like the Folsom Street Fair and those kinds of events really emerging then.
So when did you start to think, I know you're around this stuff from childhood, but are there moments that you can point to where you found yourself being attracted to another woman, or where this sort of came about in your personal discovery?
Yeah, I think it always existed because I was always much more intensely focused on my relationships with girls than boys. But I always had boyfriends too. So I always had a heterosexual side. Like there was always a kind of thing where I always had a boy, but I was really in love with the girls. Like, so, the boys were always around, but the girls who are all I cared about. So
the boys are easy. You can
boys
just
are
kinda
super
string
easy.
them along.
They're
Yeah.
still super easy. I mean, they're just kind of there, but the girls would really break my heart. And that was constant. And then I remember, being in high school and there being like graffiti on the wall saying that I was a dyke, and I didn't understand what that meant. And I was scared. So other people saw it.
Isn't it crazy how other people can see that stuff?
Always.
That happened to me too.
So weird. Yeah.
And I like freaked out.
It's so scary because it's like you don't even really know. You kind of know, but you kind of don't. You're like, I didn't do anything gay, so why are they saying that I'm gay? Like, what does that even mean? And there's a kind of ostracization that exists too, and it's like very ugly and weird. But yeah, other people kind of told me that I was gay before I even knew. And then when I worked at Stormy Leather, I was just very much, okay, well, I'm just part of everybody's gay. Everybody just is gay. And it was just an extension of working at the bookstore with my parents, growing up with my parents there, where everybody was gay. It was just kind of like, oh, gay is like the norm.
Mm-hmm. And you wrote about a hyperfixation on Lori Loughlin.
Yes.
Was that gay for you? I was like,
probably.
ding, ding, ding.
Like it was like an idealization of a kind of a beauty that I could never achieve. So it's a little bit like, that kind of femme. I want to be her. Do I want her? Or I don't want to be her. Like it's like that kind of confusion of is it desire or is it jealousy? That kind of thing.
Yes, totally. That was like my whole childhood of just obsessing over actresses. It's like confusing. Like
yeah. It's so funny. Like, I wouldn't want to be Lori Loughlin now. I feel bad. Kind of feel bad.
That did not age well.
didn't go the way I wanted it to for her. But it's all right. It's all right.
Did you have a moment in Hollywood of having to officially come out?
Not really. I think when I was young, when I first kind of emerged in Hollywood, I had a manager who was like super paranoid, and he saw me sitting on Leah Delaria's lap, which is like, I wasn't even going out with her. I was just like sitting on her lap, which is like every femme is going to sit on Leah Delaria's lap at some point. And he confronted me and he was like, are you 100% straight? And I was like, he goes, I don't even want to know. I don't want to know, but that's what you are. You're 100% straight. And I was like, that's weird. I thought it was weird because he also managed Sandra Bernhard, who's so queer-coded. She always has been and out to me. So it was very, it was confusing. Like I was just like, I don't even know what being closeted is. And also being bisexual too. It's like, it was never really anything that I even thought about, like, oh, do I need to come out about this? I guess so. I don't know. I was always sort of felt like, I guess I'm just out. I don't know.
Have your parents come around on the bisexuality at all?
No, they don't like it. They really think that it's either gay or nothing. They're like, you have to specifically choose or else you're lying. So if it's a woman, that's fine. If it's a man, it's fine. I think they would be okay if it's a trans person too. Like if it's a trans person, it's fine because that's a gender.
But a trans person couldn't be bi.
No, that would really blow their minds.
No one could be.
No, bisexuality really blows their minds. I think that they are bothered by any kind of fluidity. They're bothered by the term queer because it has to be gay. They think gay is normal, but it has to be gay. So they're weirdly in the binary still about a lot of things.
In my mind, I give them a free pass. I'm like, they sound very, very progressive from where they could be.
They're amazingly progressive for where they are and what they've been through, and how they approach it. And everybody they've met that I've been with, they've been incredibly loving towards. They're just glad I have somebody. So they don't care if it's a man or a woman. They just would rather me just stick with one, but it's fine.
Do you still identify as a fag hag?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure that the term still feels good to you.
I just use hag. I think hag says it all. I do like hag because I think it's very descriptive and, it's not, you're not using a slur. It's not exactly a slur. So, yeah, I like hag.
I love hag. I love crone.
Oh, crone is good.
I interviewed this big lesbian activist, and her whole lesbian community changed their last name to crone.
That's great.
So obviously you're really comfortable in that space with gay men. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend is like that as well, but she's really fabulous. And so I feel like gay men really like that and they treat her a certain way. And I know a lot of lesbians that would never want to identify as a hag, would never want to be in those spaces. Why do you think it's the case for some lesbians and some are just keep me away from that space?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in it. So for me, it's really familiar. It feels like home. Being around gay men is very comfortable. And my closest relationships are with gay men. So I think, it's always been like that. What I feel bad about is sometimes, not gay women in particular, but straight women sometimes use gay bars as a kind of place where they can let their hair down and like they expect all of this privilege when they go to a gay bar, and they don't realize this is actually a kind of a sacred place for gay men, and they need to respect that, but they still go for their like bachelorette parties or whatever, and I find that pretty obnoxious. That's not what lesbians do. Lesbians are more, I mean, I think that there's also a lot, I'm acquainted with many gay men who are just dykegs, who are a serial monogamous dykegs. The gay men who only are friends with lesbians, which is very specific. In fashion, you'll see a lot of these guys who just only have lesbians by their side, and they're gay men who just.
That's great. That's a huge green flag for me.
That's. I have quite a few close gay male friends who identifies that. There's actually a couple straight guys too who identify they're dykegs, which is it's a real green flag for a straight guy to be like that.
Totally, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So, like, I think they identify as lesbians. I think they're a little bit attracted to lesbians, but also feel comfortable that there's no risk of sexual intrigue.
So you, as Margaret Cho, do not tend to experience like feeling invisible in gay male spaces as some of us.
No. But I can see where that can happen. I can see where that happens. But even that invisibility is okay with me. That's all right because it's their space.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I mean less than it being their space. I just mean like in circles with them.
Yeah. I mean, but it's also okay. It's okay.
I think it's like fabulous privilege to never feel like that.
Yeah, I mean it is like a fabulous privilege. It's like a femme privilege. It's like it's a high femme privilege, but it's also like it's mother privilege, kind of. Like you're considered mother, and that's really cool. But ultimately, if I feel invisible in those places, I also am fine with that too because they're trying to get dick. I'm not going to provide that, so I don't want to get in the way, and it's okay. So I appreciate their need for their own sanctity as well. So it's totally fine.
Yes, online shopping is quite literally at our fingertips, but that doesn't mean it's always simple to buy. Whether it's trying to remember one of a million different logins so you can actually place your order, or getting almost all the way through checkout before realizing your card is nowhere near you, there are many hiccups that can get between you and placing that order. Which is why it's such a relief when you see that purple pay button that has all of your information saved, making checkout as simple as a tap of your screen. That iconic purple shop pay button is why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales going to you. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Thrive Cosmetics, Gymshark, and Allbirds, to brands just getting started. And they're not just great at converting sales. If people haven't heard about your brand yet, Shopify can help you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And they have world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. Tackle all of those important tasks from one place, making your life easier and your business operations smoother. See less carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. That's shopify.com/realm.
Hey, it's Sterling K. Brown from the Hulu original series Paradise. The next chapter begins as Xavier's search for his wife takes him above ground, and what he finds will change everything. It was never just about the bunker. Tune in and discover the truth lies outside. Paradise, the official podcast, is now streaming, and stream Paradise Season 2 on February 23rd on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Hi, Bald. It's me, Trixie Mattel, skinny legend and board-certified HVAC sommelier.
And me, Katya Zamolodchikova, the sweatiest creature in showbiz, reminding you to subscribe to the Bald and the Beautiful podcast.
Listen as we cover topics as varied as proper bidet usage, celebrity impression tutorials, and a television show I recently watched that I'll base my entire personality on for 6 weeks.
As well as creative pest control, tasty limeade recipes, and fun sex act trends.
We also chat about boobs and movies and wigs and stuff, which is obviously the public service part of the podcast.
So get ready for screaming, cackling, and some occasional educational moments as two massively unqualified queens talk about what it's like to be the epitome of fabulous.
Go subscribe to The Bald and the Beautiful with Trixie Mattel and Katya Zamolodchikova on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now.
The Regency era. You might know it as the time when Bridgerton takes place, or it's the time when Jane Austen wrote her books. The Regency era was also an explosive time of social change, sex scandals, and maybe the worst king in British history. Vulgar History's new season is all about the Regency era, the balls, the gowns, and all the scandal. Listen to Vulgar History Regency era wherever you get podcasts.
So I read your memoir. I always read a person's memoir before I interview them. And then I get into the interview and they're like, you know this story much better than I do. Like, I know you wrote it 25 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you because obviously I was looking for the queerness in the memoir. And there's really very little sort of reference to that at all. And so I'm so curious if it was not a big part of your life at that point or if that was sort of like an industry thing where you were told not to highlight that kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was really because the book was so kind of focused more on just working in television and my emergence there. And I was a really kind of different person. I probably was in a more of a headspace. Like I wanted to just tell the story about working in TV and getting to a place. And the queerness was really a part of my life in my childhood, really a part of my life in my adolescence, and really a part of my life all the way through. But at the time in like show business, it was so weird because if you were going to write a book about queerness, it had to be only about that. You know, like if you were writing a book about coming out, I think you would have to really only focus on that story. And since my kind of coming out and all of that story was like really oddly very simple because my family regarded queerness as normal. And then to be outside of that was off. So I think that there was not a lot of friction coming out. Like for me, it was like, oh, I'm gay. Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Because everybody is gay. So I think that may have been kind of the attitude at the time. I've written another book. I just finished it, actually. So there's a lot about gay stuff there.
Oh, cool.
It's more of but I remember when I wrote that first book, it was really focusing on trying to talk about working in television, my first year working in television and how hard that was and how I had to lose all this weight to kind of fit a standard in television. And kind of that kind of stuff.
You get this opportunity to have the first Asian American family sitcom on TV, and it doesn't play out really the way that anyone would want that kind of thing to play out. Yeah, it
was really hard because I was also very classic nightclub comedian. So my comedy was very crass. It was very hard hitting, a lot of drug references, lots of sexual stuff, lots of stuff that wasn't appealing to the 8 p.m. family-friendly audience that All American Girl was set up for. So the creation of the show already had a difficult thing trying to fit me into, first of all, living in my parents' house, which I had not lived in for a long time. You know, I had sort of been an adult for many years to that point. But, you know, so the show brought me back into the family home and the way that the jokes were and stuff, it just didn't really reflect my sense of humor, but it was this idea of like I was in the middle. Like, we didn't really know how to look at young people at that point in television. Are they children or are they adults? Because they're not married and they don't have kids. So what are they? And so I was in that limbo. And so on top of that, I was Korean, which was another issue that they found incredibly foreign and difficult. And it's hard because after the show was canceled, they didn't try it again for a quarter of a century. They didn't try to have another Asian American family on television for 1/4 of a century, for 25 years. So it was a major failing. It was a major disappointment for not only me, but a couple of generations of Asian American entertainers. Like, it was really, really bad. So I think you just go, okay, well, what does that even mean? Like, what does that even mean? Like, so there was a lot of reasons why it was difficult. Most of it was blamed on my weight. Like, I was considered way too fat to play myself, which is like really ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But also the body image that we have of like 1994, the show premiered in 1994. And I mean, I will just say, like, I weighed 130 pounds and that was about 40 pounds too much. They would have rather I'd been around 90. I would have been fared a lot better. I think that that had so much to do with it. And they had so much to say about that. So that was really unfortunate. It pushed me into a real struggle with anorexia and bulimia, which only, recently I think I've sort of emerged kind of free from that. It's taken a long time.
I mean, it's so crazy to be told you have to lose a certain amount of weight from your face, right?
Yeah.
Is what they said, which is like your entire personhood.
Right.
The way you write about it in the book, it's like this huge catalyst into like an all-consuming eating disorder that you hadn't been consumed by body issues, and then you're just like full steam ahead.
Right.
It becomes your entire life.
It was really quite a nightmare. So, and I just was working out all the time and eating these like small meals given to me in these small boxes, which is really depressing. That's what, people in movies and TV, like all those actors, they all eat food out of these little tiny boxes, and it's just the plastic waste alone is already depressing. But, just all of the control and it was really pretty psychotic. And so I just fell into that, and I was just so hungry all the time. I kind of didn't know what to do. I was just really starving. And that level of starvation really makes you feel crazy. So, that's kind of like what I was dealing with. And, when the show was canceled, I just put it down to I just didn't lose enough weight. So that was just kind of always in the back of my mind as I went along. And fortunately, I still really love stand-up comedy. And I found a lot of strength there. I found a lot of safety there. I found a lot of community there. So I was able to rush into that. And so doing the show, which the book is also called I'm the One That I Want, which was really kind of a healing experience for me. I gained some weight. I ate. I still had problems with it. I mean, I still have an eating disorder. I don't think you ever really get over it. I think ED it's the hardest one to shift because we have to interact with food every day. And it's a terse agreement. And fortunately, I'm in a place where I'm older now and it sort of doesn't matter anymore. But it was it was hard for a long time. And I think queerness really has a part in that too, because when you're queer, body image is such a big deal because we already don't fit a societal norm. So we think, well, if we can fit a societal norm here where the body exists. So that's why you have this level of perfectionism that I think goes across all of the queer community, where we're always trying. I mean, of course, there's rejection of that in certain areas, which is really important and really beautiful. But I think the kind of strictness that we have, the kind of rigidity that we have around that, trying to somehow perfect something where we're already outlaws in society. So maybe we can perfect this one thing. It's like we're very vulnerable to that.
Mm-hmm. I know it sounds like a very painful part of your history, but I especially find it fascinating because I kind of have a hyperfixation on Roseanne, the TV show, and the person, which might seem kind of random, but it's like she was the #1 TV show on that same network at the time. They're putting the first Fat family on TV. I'm so confused why these network people can't understand what to put on TV. Do you think it was racism that made it feel so different?
Yeah, it was absolute racism, but it was also like, it was an attempt to reach out and try to diversify the television landscape, which is really noble. I think that's really great. I think it's actually really great. Like, all of the people that wanted the show to succeed, I think they did a good job, and I'm grateful for them. And I think that it's really important they did what they did and they tried. But the image that we have of Asian women is one of petite, silent, submissive, easily moved, easily physically moved. So that was hard to shift because I was physically larger. I was loud, I was rebellious. And so I wasn't traditionally beautiful. I wasn't a flower. And so that in itself had to kind of be contained. Well, how can we contain that? Maybe she could be a little bit thinner. And that was like part of it, And so they did want to have a revolutionary show. They did want to have an Asian American family, but they didn't want to break any more rules,
Right.
And Roseanne had already been established. Roseanne has already been like a hugely important cultural figure. And the thing about Roseanne is I'm so heartbroken at what she's become. It's hard to talk about her legacy, because I really looked up to her for such a long time. And to see who she is now is really painful. I mean, there's a lot of people who have lost family members to MAGA. For me, it's Roseanne, because she was somebody that I looked up to. She was somebody who offered me a lot of advice when I was a younger comedian. She gave me a lot of support as a younger comedian, would hang out, would want to just talk. And it's really depressing. But back then, she was quite a firebrand. She was a real, she was a real role model. You wanted to kind of be as outrageous as her because she was unashamedly fat and working class and crass and all these things that were so different in television and were so needed.
Yeah, I also feel like Roseanne is the person that I lost to MAGA.
Yeah, it's sad.
And that makes me so emotional to hear you talk about that. What keeps coming up for me in regards to your show also with her is that maybe you're very aware of this, but the writing staff that the network puts on her show is also white and male and seemingly not funny. And she talks so much, or did talk so much, about how she had to, because of who she is, she was able to be no and sort of fight them at every step. And I know that that was not the case for you, or you didn't even think of yourself as that kind of figure that could sort of just push people around into making an actually really, really good show.
Yeah, that was the problem too, because I should have done that, but I didn't know I was able to. I still felt so insecure about my position, and I was much younger than Roseanne, and also we hadn't been on for a season yet, so we hadn't proven ourselves to be a hit. And the thing is, we were, no matter what, because of the way that the show was structured. We would have had viewers no matter what, but television was so different then. But I didn't really use that power that I could have done. So I didn't have the male privilege. I didn't feel like I had the whiteness. I didn't have any leg to stand on. I wasn't even thin. So I couldn't demand all these things. And, with Roseanne, I think what they did was they just labeled her as crazy. And she may have there is some mental illness going on. But for the most part, she did really good by her show in that she demanded a higher standard for the writing, and I know that they did bend over backwards to accommodate her. They brought on gay writers, they brought on women writers who were really, really, really funny, and brought the show to a level that is still, they still feel it, it's still on the air in some form. It's not Roseanne, of course, anymore, but it's the Connors. It still exists because it was so strong. And that is really Roseanne's ultimate doing. Of course, also her undoing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. So growing up, obviously, you're not seeing people like you taking your path in life, but yet you choose to do that anyway. Like, I feel like that's a specific kind of person that isn't so discouraged by that, but really is like, I'm gonna follow my heart and my head rather than the representation I'm seeing. What was that like for you growing up, and how did you end up sort of the person that you are?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really lucky. Like, I didn't realize that was really brave. And I don't realize, like, the young person that I was who just wanted to go out and do stand-up comedy, like, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing that I had that much self-confidence and, didn't care about anything. I just wanted to be a comedian. And I started super young. And so I didn't have any fear of judgment or failure or anything. The place that I started comedy, where they would sell tomatoes in the front to throw at the performers. So, I mean, I just I didn't care. Like, I didn't get anything thrown at me because I was so young. But I mean, that's the kind of place that I was at. So, it's just incredible. Like, I don't have the same spirit as that person. I don't even know where I got that kind of confidence or the kind of tenacity that I had, but I just did. I just didn't want to be a child anymore. I wanted to be an adult. I wanted to be in comedy. I had a lot of people help me. I did a lot of work on AIDS fundraising when I was younger. Lots of places hired me just specifically to do kind of like events for raising money for all of these things like ACT UP and Queer Nation and stuff like that. So I was really brought into a community that wanted entertainment too.
Was there a point where you started to realize, like, oh, I am hitting all these obstacles because of my identity, like, become clear that you were this trailblazer at a certain point?
I don't think I realized it until later.
When people are like praising you for that.
Yeah.
Much later. Yeah.
I didn't really get it because I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I was the only one. So I didn't think about, what this means or the representation this is offering. Every once in a while, I would feel it. Like, if I, sometimes an Asian student union would bring me in for a show at a university, and it would be hugely exciting, and everybody was so happy. And I realized, I guess this is actually making sense. They're excited because I'm their age, but I'm saying all these things they've never heard anybody say and doing all this stuff. So, it was great. Like, initially, like, working those like first small gay prides, people were super excited to what I had to say and what I was doing. So I just got shown it little bit by little bit.
Yeah. I have to ask you because we're sponsored by Olivia Travels. And I read somewhere that you used to perform on Olivia trips. Was it just a bit that it was sort of like a formative sapphic experience for you, or is that
no? It was wonderful.
There?
No, I did quite a few different Olivia events, and I went on one Olivia cruise to Alaska. It's a lesbians love whale watching. I don't know what it is. I do think it's the blowhole. I think it's the blowhole. We had the best time. I had an affair on the ship with a much older woman, which became quite a landmark for me, landmark relationship for me later. I think she was older than I am now, so I'm 57. It's really shocking to me. Like, I don't have an age thing. I don't really go for people less than 45. I just think it's uncomfortable. But yeah, I was really attracted to her, and it was a really big deal. But yeah, I've done a really fun bunch of Olivia shows. I got to do one with Katie Lang, who's like my dream.
Your dream girl?
My dream girlfriend forever. Oh my God, forever. She's my dream girlfriend. I think she's like the most beautiful and most talented, amazing creature ever who walked the earth. I think she's the best.
Did anything happen being in the same room?
No, she likes me, but no. The kind of women who like me are all the ones that are married to female comedians. So that's why I think Ellen hates me. That's why I think Jodie Foster hates me. Not female, but there's a kind of woman who's just really attracted to a female comedian or a female star, and they're the ones that like me, and they're always married to the famous women, so those girls always hate me. It's really funny.
I actually was gonna ask you about that because you've said, right, that you didn't feel welcomed in queer spaces, and specifically by Ellen.
No, she's so mean. She's mean. She is so mean. It's so weird how everybody kind of knows, but she's been mean to me since the 80s. It's so weird. I think, I don't know what's going on with her. I think being in entertainment has been hard for her because I remember when I worked on ABC with her, she was so mad because she wasn't out yet. And like the National Enquirer were running photos of her in full leather, like chaps and stuff, like from like a Pride. And she was so offended and so angry and so full of rage that people were kind of outing her and stuff. And I always felt bad about that. I guess she's just probably shut down because of, having to deal with this invasion, because she's a kind of person that wants to be closeted. So, I think that's her level of comfort. So I think that she did shift, like after she kind of was having to deal with the invasion on her private life, that there's a coldness that set in. I think, yeah, psychologically that's sort of always been a reason why she has been such an angry person. But I don't really know. I don't really know her very well, although I've known her for a very, very long time. Yeah, I've always found her to be really quite a difficult, mean person.
And there's really something to this because she's from New Orleans, and there are all these stories because I've covered some of the historical lesbian bars in New Orleans, and everyone there has positive stories about Ellen because she actually was out as a sort of local comedian for a while there, and I think she hadn't been hardened yet until, and it makes sense that that's sort of like walls that she would put up.
Yeah.
I know that there's no chance now of having her on the podcast and like having a good experience and stuff, but I'm like, she's so important to lesbian history.
She is.
And
she is.
Her reputation is that she's mean. Like, I don't think that what we're saying is like an excuse to be mean, but I'm also like, how many men are known as mean and like we don't run them out of the country? Like,
right. She shouldn't have. I mean, I think that like, when men are sort of perceived as difficult, they think, oh, well, like, of course they're difficult because they work so hard. It's like that auteur mentality. We don't extend that to her. She should have that.
I agree. Yeah.
I think, we should extend that for certain. Men have the genius card that they get to play, and they can be difficult and shitty. It's just fun to talk about how mean she is because she always has to be. She's all be kind. Oh, you. You dumb bitch.
I know. It's
but
crazy.
It's like there's a safety in kind of making fun of her about it because she still family. You know what I mean? Like, because she's a lesbian, because she, and she's so important, we feel comfortable shitting on her because she's still family. And so I think that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a difficult thing. Like when I see her, I did her show and she would act like she just met me, which is so weird because I used to open for her in the 80s. Like I've known her since 1982, at least. And all through our television shows, we were at ABC together. So like all that time I was like with her, and then to meet her again and like, 25 years later to act like, oh, I'm such a fan. Like, bitch, that's so weird. I know you, bitch.
The way that she didn't know you was that she was like a fan of your work from afar.
Yeah.
That's like the most twisted.
That's so psychotic.
Right?
It's so psychotic. It's like, I'm such a fan. You just say what needs to be said. I'm like, bitch, what the like, I'm the same bitch. We've been bitches. Like, what? So yeah, it's interesting. I would love to see her.
Ellen, call
She's
me.
a beautiful wife.
Oh, yeah. And so that's the thing is your theory is sort of that Portia has the hots for you.
I think so. Well, I haven't met Portia, but all of the other ones before Portia have had hots for me. So I think that's a little bit also. But it's also, there's a type of woman that goes for a female comedian.
Mm-hmm.
There is a special type.
And what is there like a way to describe that type?
They're just, it's hard to sort of put it into words, but it's like it's an outrageous, beautiful femme who's just got a very big heart, and they love to laugh, and they just love comedy, and they love women comedians, and it's just a specific type of woman who just loves a famous female comedian. It's like you always run into them, you know,
and you clock them right away.
I go, okay, I don't want her to hate me, so I gotta stay away. I really don't want her to hate me, so I gotta stay far away. It always happens every single time. And it's really funny. But yeah, there's and Ellen's been with quite a few of these women who have just done that to me, and stuff, and it's been funny. So I think that's part of it.
I can't resist a comedian.
Yeah,
I fear that I'm one of them.
It's hard to. They're really, you can't help it. I love a funny woman, and I just, it's hard to resist, especially if a powerful funny woman. They have to work so hard to get to where they are, and they're so important, and so I love them too.
Thanks for listening to Cruising. If you like this episode, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps others discover our podcast. Cruising is produced by a small but mighty team of 3 queer women, Rachel Karp, Jen McGinnity, and me, your host and editor, Sarah Gabrielli. Our theme song is by Joey Freeman. You can support us at buymeacoffee.com/cruisingpod. Follow us on social media at cruisingpod, on Substack, cruisingpod.substack.com, and at our website, www.cruisingpod.com.
For 8 years, we've been asking the same question over and over again. How did this happen? My name's Mandy.
And I'm Melissa, and we're the hosts of Moms and Mysteries, the true crime podcast with over 55 million downloads.
We're 2 Florida moms who are obsessed with mysteries. Each week, we do deep dives into fascinating true crime stories.
We cover everything from infamous cases like Casey Anthony
to the bizarre and complex crimes right here in our home state, like the shocking murder of FSU professor Dan Markell.
We bring you the facts, but with warmth and wit you'd only get from 2 friends who have been hooked on mysteries since childhood.
Join us for new episodes of Moms and Mysteries every Tuesday and Thursday.
Listen to Moms and Mysteries on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
Oh, please, not that music. That music gives me nightmares from my childhood.
Could we get something a little bit lighter, some lighter music here?
Are you a fan of true crime TV shows?
And what about Unsolved Mysteries, the show that jump-started all of our love of true crime?
I'm Ellen Marsh.
And I'm Joey Taranto.
And we host I Think Not, a true crime comedy podcast covering some of the wildest stories from your favorite true crime campy TV shows all the way to Unsolved Mysteries.
Baby, you will laugh, you will cry, you'll think about true crime in a whole new way, and you'll also ask yourself, who gave these people mics?
New episodes of I Think Not are released every Wednesday with bonus episodes out every Thursday on Patreon.
And every Monday, you can listen to our True Crime Rundown, where we go over the top true crime headlines of the week.
So come and join us wherever you listen to your podcasts.